So being the huge nerd that I am, I was really looking forward to seeing this movie. Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes of all time, and Sony hasn't had the best track record of making Spider-Man films on their own without Marvel's help. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland's probably my favorite on-screen Peter Parker, and thankfully with this movie, Sony succeeded in what they were trying to do. I absolutely love this film. I had an absolute blast watching this film from start to finish. It's everything that I wanted out of a Spider-Man movie, especially humor-wise. There wasn't a single joke in this movie that I didn't laugh at. It was surprisingly funny all the way through, and the humor just fit these characters so well, especially Peter Parker Spider-Man. He's making fun of his villains and cracking jokes while he's fighting them, and especially Nicolas Cage voicing Spider-Man Noir. He had the jokes that are just had me laughing like non-stop. And of course, you can't talk about this movie without talking about the animation. It's so well realized in this film. They try to blend so many different looks, and they do it really well with the comic book look, 2D animation, and 3D animation, and it does it so seamlessly. There are times where it is a little distracting, but thankfully your eyes get used to it and you just sort of accept it, especially with the different characters. Each character from each Spider-Man universe adopts its own animation look, and I was just so blown away how they were able to blend these looks so seamlessly. I felt like I was watching a comic book rather than reading one. It felt like a comic book just leapt off the pages and just got displayed on screen in motion form, and it was so awesome to see. Look, I love Incredibles 2. When I saw that film, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was my favorite of the year, but I feel that this movie should win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars when they come around, because even if this movie doesn't get nominated, that would be an absolute crime, because this movie needs to get recognized for what it was able to do in the animation department. But of course, you can't just rely on fresh new animation style, and thankfully this has a really great cast and a really great story behind it. I mean, it's the retread of the Spider-Man origin story. I know a lot of people might roll their eyes at it when they hear about seeing another origin story of Spider-Man, but it's kind of a running joke in the movie itself. When you get introduced to the new Spider people from different universes, they retread on like what their origins are, and I really liked it when it popped up again and again throughout the movie. But this time around, it's the origin story of Miles Morales, and I'm familiar with the character and the major beats of how he comes about in the comic book world, but I have really never read any comic books with Miles Morales leading the story. So this is really my introduction to this character. He has the core elements of what Spider-Man is supposed to be, but he's updated for this new generation of fans. He's multi-ethnic and he's kind of cool in his own right, but he's an outcast in this new school that he's going to. And like I've mentioned before on this channel, I'm a character-driven moviegoer, and thankfully the shining light of this movie is its characters, especially with Miles Morales. He's the heart and soul of this story, and I like that he doesn't become this awesome Spider-Man right away. It takes some time to get used to his new powers, and really this movie is about him fighting himself and where he fits in as Spider-Man. And I like that it's not him learning how to shoot webs or swing from rooftop to rooftop or fighting the bad guys. It's really about learning what it means to be Spider-Man and the responsibility that comes with that title. And his arc is so well realized in this film that I loved every second of it, especially the relationship between him and the other versions of Spider people from the other universes. It's just because every character just seems so well developed, and it's surprising because most of them don't have a whole lot of screen time, and they each have some piece of knowledge that they give to Miles in this movie, especially Peter B. Parker. And I love their relationship because he's not the mentor that you think he is. He's been Spider-Man for a long time. He's kind of over it, and really what he learns from Miles is he rediscovers what it is to be Spider-Man. And what I love about the relationship is that they really help each other get to where they need to be at the end of the film, with Miles becoming this new Spider-Man and Peter B. Parker rediscovering what it is and try to get his life back together and become Spider-Man again. Really, the only issue that I have with this movie is that it's really quickly paced. There's no moment for the audience to stop and breathe, because when they start to focus on the heavier emotional beats of this film, it's just quickly on to the next thing, and you don't really get time to reflect on what just happened. But at the same time, this movie is a little long-winded for me. It takes a while for it to get going, and when it does get going, it takes another while for it to wrap everything up. But thankfully, this movie is so much fun to watch that I didn't mind those issues. I will be going to see this movie again, and when all is said and done, this might end up being my favorite movie of this year. So I will be giving Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 5 stars. So now I want to hear from you. If you saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to like and share it. And to stay up to date on all the videos going on this channel, give the subscribe button a click. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.